This is our destination today. It's the bottom of a beautiful canyon that's flanked on either side by the desert, with a number of side canyons that are just as gorgeous and just as unique as this is. Join us as we explore and discover all the gems along this canyon and several of its side canyons. At Hidden Gems of Nature, I don't tell you what the destination is. Instead, I give you clues so you can explore and discover these hidden gems or your own hidden gems. So watch carefully as we identify clues to find these destinations. And remember, subscribe to Hidden Gems of Nature YouTube channel. Welcome to Hidden Gems of Nature. We're in eastern Arizona. We're in the Gila Valley. We're going to turn west off of Highway 70 and head to our destination. So we'll take a right off the highway and head west onto this dirt road. Once we turn off the main highway, we have 41 miles before we get to our trailhead. And most of it is on this road, which is all street car friendly. We'll come down off the saddle. We hit this T intersection, we make a right, and you'll pass a number of ranches. We'll make a left at this intersection and head into the canyon and to our trailhead. This section of the road is really pretty as we drive through the woodlands towards the trailhead. Most of this is also streetcar friendly, except for a few water crossings where you'll want a little bit of clearance. You typically don't need four-wheel drive, but just a little clearance should take care of it. We've arrived at our parking area. It's only room for about 3 or 4 cars here, but it's a great place. I'll have my daughter Olivia pan so that you can see where we came in and where the trailhead is. It's gorgeous down here. If you like the contrast between a deciduous forest and the desert, you'll really love this hike. It's also a lot of wildlife down here. We'll try to get as many pictures of wildlife as we can while we're hiking. Join us as we explore and discover all the beautiful gems in this canyon. We always do a before and after shot on our backpacking trips, so here you go, before and after. This trail is a relatively flat trail, very easy hike, but you're in and out of the creek, so you need to be prepared with water shoes. You just hike it in an old pair of tennis shoes. Just make sure you have socks on so you don't chew up your shoes, or chew up your feet with your shoes and the gravel that gets in them. You have a real contrast in this canyon because you're walking down in this lush preserve with this stream running through it. But if you look up, if you pan up, there it is up above. You've got desert right there next to you. Sheer cliffs. Supposedly there's a lot of bighorn sheep in here. I've never seen any, but that's just because I have bad eyes. Anyway, it's beautiful contrast. We're out here in the middle of the desert, but we're down here in these little woodlands. We cross the creek a lot as we hike on this trail, but there are a couple of sections where you're in the creek for quite some time. And this happens to be one of those sections. Eventually we'll get to an out spot. But in the summer or on a hot spring day, it's just refreshing to be in the creek. Cool undercut here.
There's a light coming out.
Yeah, that's from that crack we were just looking in.
There's mud dogs.
Oh, is there? As we're hiking along, you can see the rock plates on the opposite canyon wall. The cliffs all along this hike have many different types of configurations. You can stop and enjoy those, as well as the contrast down in the bottom of the canyon. views down here are gorgeous. Campsite for the night. Just up above the campsite there's a unique rock formation. We'll use that as a landmark so we know where our campsite is. This campsite's about 2 miles in from the trailhead. There's a lot of nice campsites in this canyon. We passed several coming in. There's a couple of more about a half mile further down the trail that are also very nice campsites. In fact, we passed a group that had 4 hammocks and 1 tent. Pretty nice camp. This is who we shared our campsite with last night. We'd been here a couple of hours when my daughter spotted the snake. It's probably 10, 12, 14 inches long. I'm afraid of snakes, so I didn't really stick around to really measure how long it was. But it stayed the night, and when we left the next afternoon, it was still there, nestled down in the rocks. But now I'm going to show you what's surrounding our camp. This is just really these towering cliffs. Rock configurations. Oh, big walnut tree right here, mostly dead. A bunch of cottonwoods and sycamores, a couple of willows. Looking down or upstream, and then across the canyon, through all the cottonwoods. It's just a gorgeous campsite. When you're accustomed to camping in the desert, this is incredibly refreshing. The first time I backpacked into this canyon 6 or 7 years ago, we were joined at breakfast with 3 bears. It was kind of exciting and fun to have the bears come through our camp. The second time I backpacked into this canyon, we didn't have anything join us for breakfast, and here I am the 3rd time backpacking into this canyon, and we have 3 deer that have joined us for breakfast. Yeah, there's not a shortage of wildlife in this canyon, so if you enjoy seeing wildlife, great canyon to backpack into as well. It's day 2 of our 2-day backpacking trip into this canyon in central Arizona. Today, we're actually going to do a side canyon hike. What's kind of cool about this main canyon is there's a number of side canyons, and the side canyons are just as different as the main canyon is from the desert. So when you come in here to hike, don't just stop at this canyon. Try the 3 or 4 or 5 side canyons that are also very unique and beautiful. They have incredible gems in those as well. Enjoy your hike today as you explore and discover the hidden gems in this canyon and one of the side canyons that we're going to go on a hike in. There's not a lot of cascades in this creek, so it's kind of nice to be able to see 1 or 2 of them as we're hiking down the trail. Just to get a feel for how clear this water is flowing. This is how clear the water is. You're looking at the bottom of the stream right now, and then I'll come out. What's really unusual about this canyon is it's really dense down here, but you're right next to the desert. And so every once in a while as you're hiking, you get those reminders that you're in the desert. And I'll have my daughter kind of pan the base of this, really green canyon, and she can show you the swirl cactuses that are also right here on the edge of the canyon. It doesn't let you forget that you're right next to the desert. Here we are down in the dense forest. And then you back up a little bit and just look up on the ledges. And there you have your Arizona trademark. Some saguaro cactuses in the desert, right in between the V of a cottonwood tree. In the half-mile hike over to the side canyon, we came across this turkey. Kind of fun to see all this wildlife in this canyon. The side canyon. This is the first one that you'll come to. Each of the side canyons is uniquely beautiful in what it contributes. This particular canyon is really a narrow, almost like a slot canyon. It's not a slot canyon, but it's a real narrow canyon that winds around, and so it's a fun canyon to hike up and down. Join us as we explore and discover some of the gems on this side canyon off of the main canyon that we're camped in. This big buttress flanks the canyon that we're hiking up on the north side and has a lot of cave formations in it. Took a picture of a couple of them. One of the caves, I call it the triple bunk beds. I don't think anybody else calls it that, but it's kind of fun. So the mouth of the canyon's wide and open. Canyon starts to narrow. We're just entering the narrow section of the canyon, and it's just a normal desert canyon. So as we're walking down the narrow canyon, and the canyon isn't 30 yards across, but we came around the corner and there's this amphitheater feature, and it goes straight up the side of the mountain. I'll have my daughter Olivia pan up so you can see what it looks like, but it's the pictures never quite do it justice, but I'll have her pan up for you. I don't know if you can hear this on the audio, but everything is echoing that I'm saying, and if you can see it, that's great. So I'll talk a little louder, and maybe that'll help you hear the echo. As the canyon gets narrower down here, I took a video of Olivia and Noelle as they're walking against this wall. You can see just how tall these walls are and how tall these trees are in this little narrow canyon. Kind of gives you a little perspective. Also along the canyon are little teeny slots that come into the canyon, and some of them aren't very deep at all. And some of them are maybe 10 yards deep. Some are little amphitheaters like the one we were in earlier. And some of them go back 20, 30 yards, and we even had a few that went back probably 60 or 70 yards wide. They're little teeny narrow slots. They're kind of neat little gems all along this canyon. As we came around the corner, we walked into an area that had really dense undergrowth and realized we were in probably a catch basin of some sort. And as we got to the end of the dense undergrowth, we realized that we were actually in a spring. And it was probably a couple hundred yards long before we came out of it. But you can see how beautiful and green it is. And then here's the spring as we're walking out at the very end. There's a lot of walnut trees up this canyon. The first time I came up this canyon a number of years ago, we actually got a couple of walnuts. We were able to peel them and eat them. There was a little bit of meat in them. So we're going to try and do that today and see if we can't pop these things open. All right, let's see if we can get these open.
Your old man is showing.
I know. Oops. Oh, good. All right, so we do have a little bit of meat in these. Not much, they're small walnuts, obviously in a dry canyon. There we go.
Okay, look up.
Got my old man eyes on. Not bad. Many parts are edible. So most of the side slots that we see when we're hiking up this aren't very deep. The last one I showed you was, 20, 30 feet deep, but this one goes back in a number of feet. So I think this is kind of cool. I think we'll go and explore and discover and see what we can find up this canyon. Not the first one up here, just past a footprint. Guess I'm not the only guy who explores and discovers. That's good. This is just a nice gem that we found along the canyon that we came up, the side canyon that we came up. This is just a side slot off that canyon. We're probably a good 60, 70 yards in from the side canyon. I'll have my wife Noelle pan up so you can see just what this looks like. The continued erosion has driven down a number of, boulders that are probably 1 to 2 feet in diameter that are caught in between the slot. But it's pretty cool back here. Nice little hidden gem along this canyon. This is such a beautiful canyon and such a contrast to the desert. I wish I could stay another day. Have a great time on this hike.